You guys, Brother D here tonight. We're gonna have a little late night talk. I used to always have late night talks. I stopped having them. I got over into a lot of the sports thing, and I stopped having my talks, and a lot of my talks was actually a lot of, which turned into a lot of my sermons on for the church, and I would hash them out on here or hash them out on the show when we are actually doing a live Praise Hallelujah radio show in the studio. But, the funny thing is that, I stopped a lot of that, man. I stopped a lot of that. But, tonight I'm here to talk about some things that are really sensitive. This talk is going to be to Christians. So I'm going to talk about some things to Christians. Once again, this is to Christians. Now, if you're not a Christian, can you benefit from this? Can you benefit from this? Yes, you can. You ever see the clumps? Yes, I can. But I'm sorry. I always remember movies when I'm talking. It's so funny, to be conducting a sermon and and you're bringing up movies. But the thing is that movies are a part of my life because I'm a writer. So basically, I bring up movies. Now, some people say, "But you shouldn't be watching the clumps." But that was many moons ago, so don't hold that against me. But getting back on track again, I'm so sorry. We're going to be talking about relationships, and it's going to get a little serious. If you are not a Christian, this really can help you. It really can help you if you allow it to. Uh, the spirit of offense is on an all-time high right now. The spirit of offense is on an all-time high right now. I'm not here to condemn you or to tell you God doesn't love you, because God does love you. And He does want the best for you. But just like when you're in a relationship, some things have to be defined after a point. Some things have to be defined, and some things we're trying to define, and it has nothing to do, once again, and it has nothing to do with how God feels, or has nothing to do with God's word. And I know you can hear my chair creaking all over the place, but anyway, but the thing is that we have to clearly define what we're dealing with when we're talking about single parent households. We have to clearly define that, because a lot of us are saying, I had, we had a child together, and now it's a broken household. The household is no longer together, and we're having a rough time, and the child is not responding correctly because the household has been shattered, because the household has been separated, because the household is now in turmoil. And the turmoil is that we are no longer together, whether we're under the same roof or not. And so when we say those things, we're saying them under the guise of that I'm married. We're saying them sometimes under the guise of, under the biblical definition of marriage, of a man, of a male and a female, born male, born female. All right. So we're under that guise that I'm speaking about today. Okay. And I want to make everything clear. All right. Once again, I'm not violating anyone's human rights, but this is what I'm speaking about. All right. So I'm being a little emphatic tonight. I'm gonna be a little bit up close and personal. All right. Because these things have to be defined, because when we start to get out here and we say, hey, you know, men do this. So I'm gonna get right to the punchline, so we can get it out the way. Let's just get it out the way so we can keep it rolling. All right. So here's where the problem comes in at when it comes to male and females. When we're talking about what? When we're talking about us being in a relationship, us being in a relationship. All right. Now, so a lot of times when we're reading these surveys, I'm listening to a lot of these podcasts, Christian podcasts, and they're saying, well, I'm from a broken household. I'm from a broken household. You cannot be from a broken household if you were not married. I'm gonna say it again. If you are not married, you are, and you and your boyfriend girlfriend decide to split, that is not a broken household. That is not abandonment. You never were a family under the guise of husband wife. You guys had a baby together, probably did not live together. If you don't live together, then the household is truly not broken. It started off separate from the giddy up. I'm going to say it again. It started off separately from the giddy up. The giddy up is from the inception. From the time he said hello, and she said, my name is. So from that point, you guys was never a couple. So when we create life, when we're separate and we're living in separate homes, and a life comes out of it, because don't get me wrong. Now we have to make some things definitively clear. One of the things we have to make definitively clear is sex makes babies. I'm gonna say it again. Sex makes babies. When you have sex, that's what makes babies. You know. So when that fetus the fetus the egg touches and it connects, guess what ended up happening? Life is produced. And let's just get it out the way. Women do not have puppies. Women do not have giraffes. Women have little humans. Humans produce humans. So if you wonder what's inside of you, it's a human. No matter which stage that it's in, it's still a human. It's still a child. All right. So let's get that out of the way. So when we start to talking about babies, and we're starting to talk about what is a single parent household. A single parent household is not someone who is two people who are single coming together, smashing, and you make a child. So, in other words, let me clarify that. What I'm saying is that you never were together. You never committed to be together. You never decided to be together. You never longed to be together. Because if you had, then you would have probably got married. If I'm talking to Christians, you would have got married and that would have happened. Now, the Bible does say it's better married than to burn, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm getting straight to it. If you, because are having children, and I'm speaking to both male and female, because dude, you're doing what you're doing. You're impregnating women, and you guys have no commitment to each other. You guys have no foreseeable future with each other outside of fulfilling a lustful desire. And that desire then turns into what? It turns into a child who is now being raised by parents in separate households. The only people who are from a fractured household is a household that was together and now they are apart. Once again, that's the technical term of a fractured household. Now, I'm not trying to cause no ripple to families that are cordial and that you may not be with the woman anymore and you guys never married and you had a child, but you have a successful union. But on paper, you still list yourself as a broken household. You'll say, well, we're a functional broken household. But the household was never really broken. It never was broken because it never was together. So just like we have to define things like, are you my boyfriend? Are you my fiance? Are you somebody who I just kick it with? Are you my girlfriend? Are you my fiance? Or are you somebody I just kick it with? You have to define those things in a relationship. Because if she's not your girl, then she can actually still date whomever she wants to date. But if she's your fiance, that's different. If she's just your friend, she can date whoever she want to date. But if she is your your girlfriend, and now I know some people, and I'm only defining girlfriend from fiance because some people are. Well, some people still define it as like from an American culture, girlfriend boyfriend, meaning that there is exclusivity, but with the possibility of marriage, with the possibility of marriage. So, but tonight's goal, I just want to I just wanted to get on and clarify that who is not a broken household. And we're labeling this thing, and we're putting ourselves in these categories, and we're making up scenarios so we can feel sad or cry or feel remorseful. But the real thing is that you never started off as a wife. You never started off as a husband. So that's not really a part of the equation for you per se. You get what I'm saying? Not per se at all. Yes, you may. Yes, you may have strong feelings for one another. Yes, you may be sexually attracted. Yes, you may even have the idea of saying we're going to be married one day. But you are not a broken household. A household that is broken is a household that was once together. And a lot of you saying, well, I always had the idea that I wanted to marry. What is marriage for real? But a covenant between a man and a woman. Amen. Before the Lord. Yes, it is. Right? Now, but any marriage. Now, where did the marriage start? I don't want to get real technical, but it started, where did the marriage start? It's between the man and woman, but have you even discussed that? So you have to just be honest with yourself. Have you said, oh yeah, we're going to be, we're married, we're this, we're that, but then make it legal. Remember, you still, as Christians, we're still obligated to be upheld by the law of the land, which is and marriage is is an institution created by God for you to get before God for what? For your marriage, or to get before the parents of your wife, the parents of your husband, to declare this thing as a union. And people say, well, Adam and Eve did. Yes, so they did get before they got before God. God presented Adam to Eve, Eve to Adam. God did that. The Father did that. That's where we get our tradition from, of betrothal, because the bride is picked out by who? By the Father, or by the person who the Father sends out to find for the woman. So we know that how marriage is started between a man and woman. So this thing is already set up in the Bible. So that's why I'm speaking to Christians. I'm not speaking to non-Christians. You're not a Christian? Fine. If you want to be edified, then listen. Outside of that, it's cool. But the one thing you have to understand, that the only single parent household is a household that people who was once married and separated. That is a broken household. Everything else is just you had kids together and you lived in separate places, and now you're saying we're a broken household, but you never were together. So it's disingenuous to say that. It's disingenuous to propagate that. It's disingenuous to put yourself in a category and saying, because you'll say, well, are you a Christian? Like, you're filling out a survey. Yes, I'm a Christian. Are you, are you with your baby's father? No, I'm from a broken household. Are you with your baby's mom? No, I'm from a broken household. She didn't want to have it together. Well, she didn't want to have it together because why? Because you guys never discussed marriage. The only thing that came up, probably more likely, is sex. And look, we all are human. We all want to have, well, not all of us. A lot of us want to have sex because it's a regular human desire. Sex is a very human desire that 90, probably 98% of us have. Some people don't have the desire. Now, because you want to have that desire, now it doesn't mean that, or just because you have that desire, it doesn't mean that you're committed to that person. It doesn't mean that you are one. And once again, I'm just trying to define what is a single parent household. What defines it? What defines the brokenness? So you can be a single parent in a household, yes. But but when you start to get into, oh yeah, we're broken. He went his way, I went my way. Well, you guys was never, if he never committed to you, you're not broken. If she never committed to you in marriage, you're not broken. So in other words, you guys willfully had a child. And I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse. I really do. But it's just like you had a child under the pretense of, hey, I want to have sex. And oops, you got pregnant. And it's not oops, you got pregnant, because we all know that sex makes babies. So when they start doing these surveys and the census come out and who's married and how many children you have and the men get it and you say, I got, yeah, man, every woman I got with, she didn't want to start the family. No, you didn't want to start the family because you didn't date her. You didn't court her, and you did not propose to her and get a yes, but you made a baby with her. You lived in two separate households, and now the child comes, and you're telling everyone that someone broke up the family, but you guys were never together. That's you being reckless. That's you being careless. And I know I'm sounding like I'm beating you up tonight, but this just have to be defined. It has to be defined because we're putting ourselves in categories that we don't belong. You ever see a guy who will ask you, who will call you wifey, but haven't given you a ring or walked down the aisle? Have a guy ever given you a ring, or even not giving you a ring, but referred to you as wifey? You ain't wifey. You're not wifey. You're not. And that's the thing that gets me when we think that we are really doing something in the realm of relationships. It's not true. So that's what I wanted to really introduce tonight. A man is married to one woman, right? No matter what Dr. Umar says, no. I'm joking. A man is